Hello, dear students. Welcome to the second part of Chapter 3 Constitutional Design of Class 9 Democratic Politics. Before starting part 2, let us discuss that what we have studied in part 1. We studied about what is apartheid. What was segregation? How the white government in South Africa discriminated the natives. Those were black, colored, and Indians. How they discriminated these natives on the basis of their skin. How they were deprived of different facilities. We also saw that in 1950s African National Congress came into action, which was an umbrella organization. Together with several other worker unions and the Communist Party, African National Congress opposed apartheid. And finally, they moved towards a new constitution. I also told you the South African constitution inspires democrats all over the world. It was a constitution which was given to a country which in the fullest sense belongs to all of them. All of them means black, white, women and men. Everyone. Now, after that we discussed why we need constitution. And today we are going to discuss making of Indian constitution. Now, let us first of all discuss in brief. After that, we'll have a detailed discussion. The making of the constitution for a huge and diverse country like India was not an easy affair. The people of India were emerging from the status of subjects to that of citizens. The country was born through a partition on the basis of religious differences. At least 10 lakh people were killed on both the sides of the border in partition-related violence. The British had left it to the rulers of the princely states to decide whether they wanted to merge with India or with Pakistan or remain independent. The merger of these princely states was difficult and uncertain task. When the constitution was being written, the makers of the constitution had anxiety about the present and future of the country. Like South Africa, India's constitution was also drawn up under very difficult circumstances. The making of the constitution for a huge and diverse country like India was not an easy affair. At that time, the people of India were emerging from the status of subjects to that of citizens. The country was born through a partition on the basis of religious differences. This was a traumatic experience for the people of India and Pakistan. At least 10 lakh people were killed on both sides of the border in partition-related violence. And there was another problem. The British had left it to the rulers of the princely states to decide whether they wanted to merge with India or with Pakistan or to remain independent. The merger of these princely states was a difficult and uncertain task. When the constitution was being written, the future of the country did not look as secure as it does today. The makers of the Constitution had anxiety about the present and the future of the country. So these were the conditions before framing up of the Indian Constitution. Now let us discuss in brief about the path to Constitution. There were many sources of Indian Constitution from where we got inspired. Those sources were British Constitution, Weimar Republic Constitution, American Constitution, Soviet, Canadian, South African, Irish, Government of India Act 1935, Australian Constitution. Let us discuss this in brief. After that, we'll discuss in detail. Our national movement was not merely a struggle against a foreign rule. It was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and politics. The familiarity with the political institutions of colonial rule also helped to develop an agreement over the institutional design. The experience gained by Indians in the working of the legislative institutions proved to be very useful for the country in the setting up of its own institution. We got inspiration from the Britishers also. Many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and Bill of Rights in USA. So they incorporated some good points of the Constitution of these in the Indian Constitution. They also got inspiration from the Constitution drafted by Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders in 1928. And the outlines of the Indian Constitution prepared by the Indian National Congress and its Karachi session in 1931. Let us discuss this in detail. Despite of all these difficulties which the partition and all we discussed, despite all these difficulties, there was one big advantage for the makers of the Indian Constitution. Unlike South Africa, they did not have to create consensus about what a democratic India should look like. Much of this consensus had evolved during the freedom struggle. Our national movement was not merely a struggle against a foreign rule. It was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and politics. There were sharp differences of opinion within the freedom struggle about the path India should take after independence. There was difference in opinion that which path we should take after independence. Such differences exist even today. Yet some basic ideas had come to be accepted by almost everyone. Now, if we talk about the framing of the Constitution, it was not a single day job. Past experiences were also there. In 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders drafted a constitution for India. Look, in the year 1928 itself. In 1931, the resolution at Karachi session of Indian National Congress thought on how independent India's constitution should look like. Both these documents, means one which was prepared in 1928 by Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders, and in Karachi session in 1931. Both these documents were committed to the inclusion of universal adult franchise, which means that every adult who has attained the age of 18, every adult who has attained the age of 18 can cast their vote. One vote, one value. Right to freedom, equality, and to protecting the rights of minorities in the Constitution of Independent India. These were some of the ideas. Thus, some basic values were accepted by all leaders much before the Constituent Assembly met to deliberate on the Constitution. The familiarity with political institution of colonial rule also helped to develop an agreement over the institutional design. The British rule had given voting rights only to a few. On that basis, the British had introduced a very weak legislature. Elections were held in 1937. To provincial legislatures and ministers all over British India. But these were not fully democratic governments. But the experience gained by Indians in the working of legislative institution proved to be very useful for the country in setting up its own institution, and working in them also. That is why Indian Constitution adopted many institutional details and procedures from colonial laws, like the Government of India Act 1935. Years of thinking on the framework of Constitution had another benefit. Our leaders gained confidence to learn from other countries, but on our own terms. It is not that we fully copied. It was on our own terms. Many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and the Bill of Rights in the US, the socialist revolution in Russia, had inspired many Indians to think of shaping a system based on social and economic equality. At each step, they were questioning whether these things suited our country or not. All these factors contributed to the making of our Constitution. All these factors were there. Now, let us talk about Constituent Assembly. In the slide, you can see some of the names who were the member of the drafting committee. And mind you, they belong to different states, different provinces, different fields. T.T. Krishnamachari, G. Durgabai Deshmukh, Somnath Lahiri, Sarojini Naidu, S.C. Mukherjee, Jaipal Singh, Abul Kalam Azad, Javer Bhai Vallabh Bhai Patel, Iron Man of India, Kanhaiya Lal Manik Lal Munshi, Bhim Rao Ramji Ambedkar, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Baldev Singh, Jawaharlal Nehru, and many more were there. Some of you may have noticed a name missing from the sketches of the makers of the Constitution. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi. He was not member of Constituent Assembly. Yet there were many members who followed his vision. Years ago, writing in his magazine Young India in 1931, he had spelled out what he wanted the Constitution to do. Constituent Assembly. The Constitution of India was framed by a Constituent Assembly, set up under the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946. The Assembly consisted of 389 members, representing 292 provinces, 93 states, the Chief Commissioner provinces 3, and Balochistan, one member from Balochistan. At present, it is a part of Pakistan. The Assembly held its first meeting on December 6, 1946. It elected Dr. Rajendra Prasad as its chairman. The Constituent Assembly was also divided into the Constituent Assembly of India and Pakistan after, in the year 1947, both the countries were divided on religious lines. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 November 1949, but it came into effect on January 26, 1950. 26 January, we celebrate Republic Day. Now let us discuss in detail who then were the makers of Indian Constitution. Brief sketches already I have shown you. The drafting of the document called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly. Elections to the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946. And its first meeting was held in December 1946. Soon after the country was divided into India and Pakistan, the Constituent Assembly was also divided into the Constituent Assembly of India and that of Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 November 1949, but it came into effect on January 26, 1950. To mark this day, we celebrate 26 January as Republic Day every year. Now, the question comes in our mind that why we should accept the Constitution made by this assembly for more than 50 years ago. Why we should accept? We have already seen one reason, and that was the Constitution does not reflect the views of its members alone. It expresses a broad number of its time. Many countries of the world had to rewrite their constitution. Many countries have to rewrite their constitution. Why? Because the basic rules were not accepted to all major social groups or political parties. In some other countries, the constitution exists, but it is merely a piece of paper, No one actually follows it in some of the countries. The experience of our constitution is different. Over the last half a century, several groups have questioned some provisions of the constitution, but no large social group or political party has ever questioned the legitimacy of the constitution itself. This is an unusual achievement for any constitution. The second reason for accepting the constitution is that the Constituent Assembly represented the people of India. There was no universal adult franchise at that time, so the Constituent Assembly could not have been chosen directly by all the people of India. It was elected mainly by the members of the existing provincial legislatures. This ensured a fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country. The assembly was dominated by the Indian National Congress, the party that led India's freedom struggle. The assembly had many members who did not agree with Congress. Congress itself included a variety of political groups and opinions. In social terms too, the assembly represented members from different language, groups, caste, classes, religions and occupations. Even if the Constituent Assembly was elected by a universal adult franchise, its composition would not have been very different. It would have been the same. Finally, the manner in which Constituent Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution. Finally, the manner in which Constitution Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution. It sanctions. The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open manner. First, some basic principles were decided and agreed upon. Then, a drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussions took place on the draft constitution, clause by clause. Clause by clause, it took place. The members deliberated for 114 days, spread over 3 years. Every document presented and every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly has been recorded and preserved. These are called Constituent Assembly debates. When printed, these debates are 12 bulky volumes. These debates provide the rationale behind every provision of the Constitution. These are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution. This was how the Constituent Assembly worked. Now, let us discuss about the Constitution of India. Let us turn to Jawaharlal Nehru at the stroke of midnight on 15th August 1947. Here, you can see his speech on the Independence Day, 15th of August 1947 from Lal Killa. Now, guiding values of the Indian Constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was appointed as chairman of the drafting committee, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad, chairman of the Constituent Assembly. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was chairman of Constituent Assembly and B.R. Ambedkar chairman of the drafting committee. Constitution adopted on 26 November 1949 and enacted on January 26, 1950 when India became a republic. The Constitution reflects the best minds of the country. Its members represented mini India. Those who drafted the Constitution felt that it has to be in accordance with people's aspiration and changes in society. They did not see it as a sacred, static, and unalterable law. It was not that it cannot be changed. So they made provisions to incorporate changes from time to time. These changes are called amendments. Till date, 104 amendments have been made in the Constitution. The amendments procedure provided in the Constitution is as follows. There are 3 categories of amendments. 3 categories are there. Number 1. In the first category, amendments can be done by simple majority of members present and voting before sending it for the President's assent. This was the first category. Second category, amendments require a special majority. Such an amendment can be passed by each House of Parliament by the 2/3 majority of the members of the House present and voting, and then sent to the President for his assent. President signatures. Now, third category. These amendments were very difficult to pass. Besides the special majority mentioned in the second category, the same has to be approved by at least 50% of the state legislature. So these were the 3 categories of amendments. Again, let us recall. First one, amendments can be done by simple majority of members present and voting before sending it for the President assent. Second one, such an amendment can be passed by each of Parliament by the 2/3 majority of the member of the House present and voting, and then sent to the President for his signatures. Approval. Third, the same has to be approved. Means second category, so it will be there, but with that, the same has to be approved by at least 50% of the state legislatures. Means from Lok Sabha also, from Rajya Sabha also, and from the state legislatures also, with at least 50%. Now, let us talk about the guiding values of Indian Constitution. The guiding values. What are those guiding values? The leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Ambedkar, and Jawaharlal Nehru put forward their views about dream and promise the Constitution makes for the nation. The preamble of the Constitution speaks about philosophy on which entire Constitution has been built. It is the soul of Indian Constitution. Now, what is a preamble? Preamble are the introductory lines We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure all its citizens. This is the soul of our constitution, preamble. Same here. You can see the preamble. Everything is mentioned. Means this is the soul. Let us discuss the meanings. We, the people of India, means the constitution has been drawn up and enacted by the people through their representatives and not handed down to them by a king or any, but by the representatives, elected representatives. Sovereign, people have supreme right to make decisions on internal as well as external matters. No external power can dictate the government of India, means no other country can dictate. Socialist, wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by society. Government should regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. As we know that at that time Jamindari system was there. So to regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. Seculars, citizens have complete freedom to follow any religion, but there is no official religion. Government treats all religion, beliefs and practices with equal respect. Democratic, a form of government where people enjoy equal political rights, elect their rulers and hold them accountable. Accountable means answerable. Answerable to whom? Answerable to the people. The government is run according to some basic rules. Republic, the head of the state is an elected person and not a hereditary position. Hereditary means king, queen, after that his son, then no, they are the elected. Head of the state are elected. Justice, citizens cannot be discriminated on the grounds of caste, religion and gender. Social inequalities have to be reduced. Government should work for the welfare of all, especially of the disadvantaged groups. Liberty, there are no unreasonable restrictions on the citizen in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. Equality, all are equal before the law. The traditional social inequalities have to be ended, like Jamindari system. The government should ensure equal opportunity to all, equal opportunity to all. Fraternity, all of us should behave as if we are members of the same family. No one should treat a fellow citizen as inferior, as backward. So these were some of the words from the preamble. Preamble, that is soul of our constitution. Now, with the help of figure also I want to tell you, sovereign, internal and external matters in the hands of the people, in the hands of the representatives. Secular, no official religion. Anyone can follow any of the religion. Democratic, justice, equal before the law. Liberty, free. Equality, social equality, economic equality, abolition of Jamindari system. Fraternity, brotherhood. So these are some of the philosophy of the constitution. Now let us discuss the last one. institutional designs. The Constitution is not merely a statement of values and philosophy. A Constitution is mainly about following these values into institutional arrangements. Much of the document called Constitution of India is about these arrangements. It is a very long and detailed document. Therefore, it needs to be amended quite regularly to keep it updated. Those who crafted the Indian Constitution felt that it has to be in accordance with people's aspiration and changes in society. They did not see it as a sacred. Sacred means to which we worship. Like sacred groves, trees are there. Tulsi, banyan tree. Those are sacred. So they did not see it as sacred, static or unalterable law. Means the law which cannot be changed. Unalterable. They did not see it like that. So they made provisions to make changes from time to time. Provisions were there that it can be changed from time to time. These changes are called constitutional amendments. The Constitution describes the institutional arrangements in a very legal language. If you read Constitution for the first time, it can be quite difficult to understand. Yet, the basic institutional design is not very difficult to understand. Like any constitution, the Indian Constitution lays down a procedure for choosing persons to govern the country. One more thing, institution. Several times I have used this word, institutions. What does this mean, institution? Prime Minister's office is a separate institution. Lok Sabha is a separate institution. Judiciary, separate institution. President's office, Chief Minister's office, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of External Affairs. These are the institutions. Like any constitution, the Indian Constitution lays down a procedure for choosing persons to govern the country. It defines who will have how much power to take which decisions. Legislature, executives, judiciary, central government, state government, likewise. These are the institutions. It puts limit to what the government can do by providing some rights to the citizens that cannot be violated. In the coming chapters, we'll look at some key constitutional provisions, but that we will discuss later on. So this was all about institutional designs. How the government will be formed, how they will be chosen, what are the powers, what are the powers of the head of the state, what are the powers of the legislature. Everything is mentioned. That is what you call is institutional design. And no one can violate the fundamental rights. And please do remember your fundamental duties also. So this was all about this. Yes, you have to make notes out of it in your fair copy. From the next lectures, I will be giving you questions also, which you have to complete it in your fair copy. You have to complete it in your fair copy. The question will be based on these lectures and you have to do it yourself. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.